Welcome to the Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Vantage Circle, the leading employee benefits and engagement platform.
Hi everyone, this is Rohit from Vantage HR Influencers Podcast, and today I'm excited to have Shweta Mogha, who's a talent acquisition leader with 20 plus years of experience in telecom, technology, and retail verticals, having been worked in companies like Airtel and Amazon. Shweta has worked across geographies like North America, India, Africa, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. She's the co-founder of EVA and alumni of XLRI Jamshedpur. Welcome to the show, Shweta.
Thank you, Rohit.
Awesome. So, how did you get into HR and what got you excited about the field of HR?
Well, Rohit, I had an interesting journey. I did my PG into sales and marketing, and through that, I actually got into Airtel as part of my placement. And I actually started my career with sales and marketing and not HR. But after completing my training period, I was given an opportunity to either continue in sales or move to customer services. And I opted for customer services because I felt that, I could make an impact there and manage, large teams. I'm a restless soul. I did customer services for 2 years, but soon I realized that my passion actually lied in coaching and mentoring people. That led me to move into training and development. And through there, my journey in HR actually began. And then, I spent about 18, 19 years in Airtel, which is one of the largest telecom companies across the globe, third largest, in fact, and did pretty much everything under the sun in HR for them, right from HR business partnering to learning and talent development, talent management, and talent acquisition. And after spending about 18 years with Airtel, that's when I decided, it's time to do something different. And Amazon, came knocking my door in terms of a great opportunity. And I led their India operations for 2 years before I moved to US and led their diversity and military hiring. And now I'm, very proud to be co-founder of EVA, which is Empowered Women of the World. It's a learning platform which enables women leaders to be able to visualize, actualize their success, whatever means to them. And we are there to support them, coach and mentor them in that process.
Well, that's a great journey. You've worked in different geographies, and now you're a co-founder of your own company. Shweta, we're recording this podcast during the crisis of COVID times. But do you see a big shift in hiring going forward?
Rohit, COVID has actually changed a lot of myths around remote working. I remember, and you would be able to relate to it. India is not a country where remote working is, a very popular. Working from home one day is a big thing, and it's essentially with the global companies that allow you to do that. But I think the COVID has actually forced organizations to revisit how they have been traditionally looking at roles and opportunities, which were not considered remote, earlier, are now becoming remote, And as part of COVID crisis, large organizations like, say, Bank of America today is converting, more than 3,000 employees from different branches across the globe to actually handle calls for their consumers and small business customers because they can't really go to the banks. The banks, were closed for a very, very long time. Or a global company like Cisco is looking at, setting up internal project marketplaces that are actually breaking down work into different tasks and projects, and they can be managed with people from anywhere in the organization where, skills are available and are relevant. So a lot of innovative thinking is actually happening. And of course, remote working is there to stay. A lot of organizations are feeling that this could be an opportunity to also tap very, very diverse pools, traditionally, women struggle a lot. And because I'm co-founder of EVA and have so many people, specifically women leaders reaching out saying, after maternity break or after, when they have large, families to manage, it's difficult for them to be able to travel extensively or to look at jobs which, work beyond 9 to 6. And COVID is opening all those opportunities for them because now remote working is possible, and that's a very, very diverse pool. The pool that large organizations, I'm sure, like Google, Amazon, would be looking at to hire such people, who can work remotely and take the organization to the next level.
And do you also foresee, a lot of women getting back into the workforce, as you pointed out?
Yes, absolutely. Not only women, but I would say our male counterparts who've taken, breaks either for family. It may not be very common in India, but in US it's pretty common that even male counterparts, take breaks in between to be able to support their spouses, or take care of family for that matter, or just start their own entrepreneurial business, and then they decide that no, they want to come back to the workforce. So anybody who wants to come back to workforce, it will be a boon for them, because a lot of organizations are today looking at, dividing work streams into smaller projects and giving it to, employees who can come in as contingent staff for them, or just return to work. And I'm sure all leading organizations are today eyeing that population, which could bring in more diversity of thought onto the table and enhance their diversity ratios across, the levels per se.
Correct. And do you think, after December, or possibly in 2021, the remote work will be there forever, or is it going to be only for a certain segment of people who can work remotely?
So this is a very interesting question, and most of the organizations are today grappling with, what is the right mix? Microsoft, you know that the leaders have already announced that, while remote working is good for now, in the long run, it may not be something that, may be sustainable, and, people would miss, coming back to office. Whereas some companies like Twitter have actually announced that, you could actually work from home forever. Satya Narayan Nadella is not a great fan, it seems, of remote working, because he's openly said that while there are pros, there are also cons to it. But
Right.
there are organizations, which are thinking in terms of saying, remote work could stay for a longer period of time. But all I can say is that yes, different companies are today looking at that with a different lens. They are looking at providing much more flexibility of their employees to work remotely, or at least become more flexible in their working. And I think you would vouch for it. Even in India, you would have never thought that, organizations would let people work remotely, but now organizations are letting them work, remotely. Will it stay forever? For certain roles, yes. For certain roles, no. Teams in data engineering, or data centers, you want those people to be actually in the office so they can work on complex projects and, help manage the infrastructure. Whereas, program management roles or recruiting roles, they could essentially be done from anywhere, essentially, So I think organizations are trying to find what works best for them.
Correct. And how can HR leaders ensure that an employee who joins the company, has the same cultural values as that of the company? Is that possible for a new joinee who joined remotely into a company?
Well, organizations are really innovating in terms of how they want to make the experience seamless for the employees, right? From ensuring that, the laptops are set up properly, have their links, already stored as favorites, to ensuring that most of their training programs can be converted into an e-learning module, and ensuring, that the mentors and buddies are assigned to people who are joining at this point of time, is becoming very, very critical. I think communication is very important and key in remote working setup, and that's what most of the organizations are focusing on in terms of bringing, leaders together with the new joinees, in whichever form, whether it is virtual happy hours or just ensuring that there are enough Zoom calls, regular check-ins, which are actually, happening with the employees. So I think that's there. But having said that, I think that it's not just about onboarding; it is also about pre-onboarding. Culture fit for an organization and employee is extremely, extremely important, purely because money or rewards, are very, very competitive today. You won't find what, today Twitter offers versus Google offers versus Microsoft offers, very different in terms of perks and benefits. But it's all about the culture of the organization. It's about the ecosystem that is built around employees for them to be successful. It's about career opportunities and learning opportunities that come their way in the organization. And that is the core differentiator. And does that align with the values of the employee who's joining your organization is extremely important. And hence, during the interview process, diving deep into what motivates the employee, what does not motivate, what kind of culture do they enjoy working in becomes very, very important.
Correct. And, in large organizations, with tens of thousands of people who are already working remotely across the world, how do you ensure an environment of, transparency and trust during remote work conditions? Because, they're not able to physically meet each other and, not physically able to bounce off ideas. And, Zoom meetings could have their own limitations. But how do we ensure, there's an environment of trust and transparency and the camaraderie which happens between employees?
Well, this is, I would say, a lot of organizations never thought or in past have not done remote onboarding, to be very honest, and all organizations are in that process of navigating, and only time will tell, Rohit, whether they are successful or not. But I know that some of the leading organizations are focusing a lot in terms of communicating with their employees. In the remote environment, as I said, communication and is the key. So empowering your managers, to be able to stay connected with the team, it becomes very, very important. Small things like, daily check-in calls or setting clear expectations or focusing on output versus the number of hours that they're spending is extremely important. In today's environment, when, most of the employees are struggling to manage uh, home and office and the lines are getting blurred, it's important that the focus has to be on the output and not necessarily the number of hours that the employees are essentially spending, in the work environment per se. Some of the organizations have already implemented flexi hours of saying, do pick whatever time you want to work, because at the end of the day, work needs to be done. Um, you know, but most importantly, I think it is also about respecting the employee's privacy. When you check in, um, a lot of companies today are saying it's okay if you don't want to switch your video on a Zoom meeting, because you may be managing your kid, parallelly, and it could be difficult. So it's fine. People are becoming more flexible in their approach, and that's very, very, important. But as I said, uh, you know, at times it is challenging when you don't have people around you. You cannot be in the corridor and talk to those people, or, hang around with your friends or build that kind of culture. But people are innovating. I've seen from pot lunches happening, which
Right.
remotely or over a virtual Zoom call, to happy hours actually happening. I recently got to know that one of my friend working for Oracle actually had virtual happy hours. So while they were sipping beer, they were on, just on Zoom and chit chatting and checking on each other.
Oh.
Makes it difficult. It's not as good as it feels when you are, sitting together with your friends. But I think this is the time wherein we are making most of what we have, and that's how I'm looking at it.
Correct. And are rewards and constant feedback enough to motivate employees? What are your thoughts on that?
There is no doubt that competitive rewards and feedback enables employees to think, in the direction of how comfortable or how motivated they are in their current role, and what do they do need to do next. But of course, these two factors alone can never be the only motivating factor for employees. Every individual is a unique individual. For example, for me, autonomy of work, learning opportunities, ability to do something cross functionally or make a larger impact is very, very important. For some other individual, it could be recognition, high impact, large scale projects wherein you get recognition within the organization and outside the organization, matters to them. Some of them prefer very clear career paths, that what will I need to do to be able to reach the next level? How do I need to look at my promotions? You know, so there are multiple factors, culture, work environment, career paths, learning opportunities, recognition, autonomy of work. Every individual is unique, and all these factors add to, making a great work environment and motivating the employees per se. So it's difficult to say that, if you have great rewards, would people be really happy in your organization? Your attrition levels will be low. No, because if your culture sucks, if you don't have great managers who can support and empower and develop their team members, uh, money alone cannot retain employees per se.
Yeah, no, Shweta very rightly put. Money alone cannot motivate employees, and is it possible for companies to measure ROI and employee experience, when they're working in companies?
Well, of course, yes. Attrition is one of the key factors that, essentially people look at. People always do employee satisfaction surveys, engagement surveys. We remember Gallup used to do, one survey or two surveys in a year. Today, the organizations have moved into, daily check-ins. You open your laptop and there's a question which pops up, and you answer the feedback, or provide feedback on that question, which adds up to the employee engagement score. That is also an ROI of what's happening around in the organization, whether in form of reward and recognition or culture or just the learning opportunities that employees get. So yes, you will always be able to relate back whether your initiatives are successful or not. The way we look at ROI is, can you put a money to it, or a monetary value to it? And everything for me, and that's my personal opinion, cannot be monetized. Yes,
Right.
it can be monetized to a certain extent, but I would rather look at what people are talking about the organization on Glassdoor, or just the feedback from the engagement scores as an ROI as well.
No, absolutely makes sense. And what should HR teams do to onboard new employees, especially in a remote setup? You've talked about it before, but any new ideas for employees who would be getting onboarded in the next 6 months or so?
Yeah, I think one thing that we need to clearly understand is remote is different. We are not used to remote, so having that flexibility is very, very important. Of saying, how will the onboarding schedule look for these people? If you are looking at doing e-learning, it has to be a blended learning approach. We are moving from traditional classroom learning to suddenly e-learning, but everything cannot be as impactful in learning as compared to what it is happening in the classroom sessions. And
Right.
hence, that blended learning approach is very, very important. And that blended learning is, maybe you could log on to the Zoom calls or WebEx calls and do certain kind of, interactions with the employees, rather than just forcing them to undergo e-learnings back to back and trying to complete certain things. The second most important thing is, we are human beings, we are social people. We need to interact, we need to talk, we need to build relationships. And that's why assigning buddies, assigning mentors at this point of time is extremely important, specifically because you're not present in the office to feel the culture, to observe what works well, what does not work well, in the organization's way of working. And hence, these buddies and these mentors in the organizations are the one who who educate the new joinees in terms of what works best in the organizational context. Are we a PPT driven company, or are we a more informal company? Do we like sending more emails, or do we like ping directly employees? These are some of the things that you cannot learn or understand unless you have somebody working closely with you. And that's why your buddies and your mentors play a very, very different role. Buddies will, while mentors will coach and groom you and, guide you in the process, buddies will be the one who will be essentially talking about a lot of informal stuff that you don't, otherwise get to know. Those things are very, very important. And as I said, uh, virtual onboarding can cause a lot of fatigue as well into the new joinees who are coming into the company. It's not easy to have your headphones on and be on the calls all the time, and hence being flexible with the schedule is extremely important. Interactions are very, very important. Regular check-ins are very, very important. So these are some of the things that teams are doing, and I think it needs more personalized approach at this point of time. While in a traditional classroom onboarding session, you can have 40 people on board at a time. Here, you'll probably look at smaller cohorts because you want to give them that one-on-one personalized attention even when they are remote.
Right, no, absolutely right. Buddy systems and regular check-ins with employees can really make a great impact. But Shweta, do you think engagement scores are rising for companies in a remote working environment?
I think it's a very mixed bag, Rohit. You cannot say that engagement scores are rising or not rising. Today, this is COVID time, and COVID is forcing us to work remotely. Uh, you know, and there is lots happening around the globe. Um, we see there are layoffs happening. We see that a lot of positions are getting on, going on hold. There are a lot of companies who have furloughed their employees, which means they have given them temporary leave of absence because everything is closed and they don't need so many employees. They may not lay them off, but they're not paying them and they've put them on temporary leave.
Right.
So in some companies, you will see the engagement scores going up because people are thankful that at least they have a job and their company is financially stable enough to be able to afford to sustain all of them, during these COVID times. On the other hand, there are companies who have done the layoffs. I mean, they did not have an option to be able to pay employees, for 5 6 months till the time the COVID situation improves. The engagement scores could be going down, and there is no. I think everybody is aware. Some of this is all public news. Like Uber had to, just log on remotely, onto Zoom calls and announce that, guys, you have been laid off. That's how they've
Right.
done their layoffs.
Right.
If you go back to employees of Uber, would they say that they're happy? Maybe not. But that's why I'm saying it's a mixed bag. It's very, very company centric at this point of time as to how effectively the organizations have managed the communication. And that's why I continue to harp on to it, whether it is onboarding, whether it is dealing with COVID, whether it is dealing with remote work, setup. Communication is becoming, the key. And not having heads up or not having known what is going to happen in near future and suddenly getting a bomb of losing your job will not increase their engagement scores. On the other side, there are companies which have gone ahead and said, Google recently announced that we'll pay $1,000 per employee, now who are working from home, to be able to help them, set up, remote working environment as such, or buy anything that they need. Maybe those employees would be very happy and giving them higher engagement scores. So very, very mixed bag.
Correct. And I quickly want to do the top three. What's your favorite business book?
For me, I think I've always been a great fan of Harvard Business Review because I think that's a magazine that I regularly like to read. It's available on the net, so I can log on and read the electronic version. B, it covers right from technology to leadership to entrepreneurship to diversity and empowerment, which is very, very close to my heart. And with EWOW, I see more and more insights that I gain when I read some of the articles at HBR. I think I'm a fan.
And do you follow any HR leader or CEO whom you admire?
Well, different leaders at different points in time, have inspired me. right from Sunil Bharti Mittal, who was the founder of Airtel, for his risk-taking capability, for his ability to think big and, just go out, and set ambitious goals. To Sanjay Kapoor, who was the first CEO of, Airtel India, a very, very charismatic leader, who people still look up to, and he's been out of Airtel for about what, 8, 10 years now, but still, has same amount of impact, when he comes online or media interviews. To Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook, somebody who has really achieved a lot, at a very, very young age. To my sister Rashim, who's founder of eVow, from, coming to India to setting up a, own venture, which has presence in 34 countries now through her podcast or the book that she's written. So a lot of people, it's difficult to say one such individual.
Correct. So, what is one piece of advice would you give to young HR leaders who are looking to build their careers in HR?
I think for me, diversity of thought and action is very, very important. And I think as HR leaders, we need to challenge the status quo, how organizations look at, hiring the talent or onboarding the talent, or even looking at career planning and succession planning. It's important that we bring in that thought process that diversity is very, very important, and not necessarily having similar mindsets joining the company. It's always good that we have diverse portfolio of employees who can challenge the status quo, have the ability to take the risk. And that's what I would suggest the HR leaders to do as well. It's very easy to say, this is what, the management wants or the business wants from me. But having your own stance of being able to say that this is what is right for the organization in the long run, and decisions what we are taking specifically in terms of getting the newer talent into the organization. It is not about today, but it is also about future. To how do you essentially find right learning opportunities to people. So I think these are some of the things that I would like young HR leaders to focus on. A one size fits all approach does not work in HR any longer. And it is not a personnel department, and it's highly talked about it. We are strategic business partners to the leaders, and that's how we should position ourselves as well.
Got it. Shweta, what is the best way people can reach out to you and know more about eVow?
Well, we have, our own LinkedIn page, which is called eVow. Find us. We do a lot of efforts in terms of empowering women leaders, coaching and mentoring them. We publish podcasts across 34 countries, ranging from topics around leadership, technology to entrepreneurship, and personal effectiveness. We just concluded our second eVow virtual summit, which was attended by more than 200 people across the globe, and had speakers coming in from Facebook to Google to Dell, so all the leading organizations. Reach out. I'm available on LinkedIn. Feel free to ping me. Follow us on Twitter, eVow. We are available everywhere to support and nurture young talent. We've recently launched our incubator program for entrepreneurs who want to ensure that their ideas reach the pitch deck stage, and we are supporting them in terms of putting them through industry leaders who can critique their decks and who can guide them how to prepare their decks, for an idea that they have. So reach out there. Our website is evowglobal.com. So log in, find us, and we're happy to help and support.
Got it. We'll put that in the show notes. Shweta, thank you so much for taking your time and speaking to us. I really enjoyed speaking to you.
Same here, Rohit. Excited, and I know that Vantage is doing a great job as well. So kudos to you guys, and wish you all the very best for the rest of the year. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks for listening to Vantage HR Influencers Podcast. do subscribe to Vantage HR Influencers Podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for new episodes.